People all the time ask me about the iconic cars in this mythology. When I think of the Dodge Charger, I think of that moment from the first film in the Toretto garage where Dom and Brian...
For decades, the world saw only what he wanted them to see: the growl of engines, the fire of explosions, the word family echoing through the fast and furious universe like gospel. What if behind all the cinematic chaos, the flying cars, and global blockbusters, there lived a quiet truth? A hidden world of grief, love, legacy, and obsession sealed behind the thick steel doors of Vin Diesel's personal garage. Today, those doors finally open. Before there was Dom Toretto, the growling street racer and cinematic symbol of loyalty, there was Mark Sinclair, a shy, creative, mixed-race kid raised by a working-class family in the artistic chaos of Greenwich Village, New York City. He didn't grow up with fast cars or Hollywood dreams. He grew up backstage, literally. His stepfather was a theater instructor and drama coach, and it was in those darkened rehearsal halls that young Mark first discovered performance. At just 7 years old, he and his twin brother, Paul, broke into a local theater with a group of friends, intending to cause a little mischief. But instead of calling the cops, the artistic director gave them scripts and a second chance if they joined the theater program. That moment changed his life. From that day on, acting wasn't just an escape, it was a mission. By his early 20s, Mark, now going by Vin Diesel, a name he adopted during his time as a bouncer at NYC nightclubs, found himself hitting endless rejection walls in Hollywood. Casting agents told him he didn't fit the mold. Too ethnically ambiguous, too hard to place, too different, but that didn't stop him. Instead, he did what no one expected. He wrote himself into the industry. In 1995, using $3,000 of his own money and borrowing more from family, he created a short film called Multifacial, a deeply personal story about a biracial actor navigating casting stereotypes. The entire thing was shot in just 3 days, edited in his bedroom, and somehow made its way to the Cannes Film Festival, where it stunned audiences. It was this film that caught the eye of none other than Steven Spielberg, who was so impressed by Diesel's raw talent and storytelling that he created a role specifically for him in Saving Private Ryan, launching his Hollywood career. Vin Diesel didn't walk into fame. He built it. Like his beloved muscle cars, he was assembled through struggle, steel, and soul. Vin Diesel never had the Hollywood red carpet laid out for him. He didn't make it, he engineered it. Like one of his beloved muscle cars, he was custom built through grit, persistence, and sleepless nights. His hands weren't manicured from luxury, they were calloused from the hustle. When he arrived in Los Angeles, young, ambitious, and full of hope, the city chewed him up. He knocked on door after door. He waited in casting rooms where no one looked like him. Agents didn't know what to do with a guy who was Italian, African-American, and Caribbean all at once. Too ambiguous, too intense, too different. He was told to wait for the right role, to tone it down, to be more marketable. But waiting was never his style. So he took the driver's seat, borrowed money from his mother, maxed out his credit cards, and taught himself how to produce. On a shoestring budget, he wrote, directed, and starred in a short film called Multifacial, a raw, vulnerable piece about an actor facing constant rejection due to his racial ambiguity. He shot it in just 3 days, edited it at home, and submitted it to film festivals, not expecting much. But what happened next was like something out of a movie. The Cannes Film Festival accepted the film. Cannes, one of the most prestigious platforms in the world, and it was there that the legendary Steven Spielberg saw it. Moved by Diesel's authenticity and presence, Spielberg rewrote a role in Saving Private Ryan just to include him, a rare moment in Hollywood history. With one short film, Vin Diesel had gone from invisible to unforgettable. And yet, he still didn't let off the gas. He followed that with another indie film, Strays, and then the breakout sci-fi hit Pitch Black, which introduced audiences to the dark anti-hero Riddick. But it wasn't until 2001, when he took the wheel as Dominic Toretto in The Fast and the Furious, that the world finally caught up to what Diesel already knew. He didn't need a role. He was the role. I had to create my own destiny. If I waited for Hollywood, I'd still be waiting. Vin Diesel, that self-made spirit, didn't just shape his career, it shaped the garage we're about to step into. Because Vin Diesel didn't just play Dom Toretto. He became him, and maybe, in some deeper sense, Dom became him too. When the thick steel doors to Vin Diesel's private garage finally opened, what people found inside wasn't a flashy showroom lined with velvet ropes and billion-dollar ego. It was something raw. Something emotional, something sacred. This wasn't just a celebrity collection. It was a cathedral of memory with horsepower humming like a heartbeat beneath every hood. Yes, some cars were expected: the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Lykan Hypersport, the Corvette Grand Sport, jaw-dropping machines that scream exclusivity. This garage didn't scream. It whispered, told stories through oil stains and handwritten notes taped to windshields, through dust left untouched on certain dashboards, through a Supra that hadn't moved in years. These cars aren't trophies, they're time capsules. Each one, a frozen frozen moment in Vin's life. A love letter to someone he lost. Thank you to someone who believed in him. A mirror held up to the man who went from struggling actor to global icon, yet still talks to machines like old friends. Take the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, a car so fast it was banned from NASCAR. Diesel didn't buy it for its auction value. He bought it because it reminded him of unfiltered American engineering, of a time when cars were made to dominate, not just look pretty. It's restored to perfection, but not for display, for reverence. Or the Lykan Hypersport, one of only 7 ever made. A car with diamonds in its headlights and a top speed of 245 miles per hour. Most owners flaunt it. Diesel barely mentions it, because for him, even this $3.4 million marvel isn't about wealth, it's about what it represents, how far he's come from the Bronx rooftops of New York. And then there's the Toyota Supra. Quiet, untouched, not for racing, not for selling. It belonged to someone who's no longer here, Paul Walker. This car doesn't just sit in his garage. It anchors it. It's not parked, it's preserved. A symbol of brotherhood that never got a final chapter. In Diesel's garage, engines don't just roar. They remember. Because here, every car has a story. And one is a eulogy on wheels. Let's start where it all began, with the Beast. The 1970 Dodge Charger R/T. In the movies, it was Dom and his father's project car. On screen, it was cinematic muscle. Off screen, it's personal. Diesel owns a real one, a heavily customized monster packing over 1,200 horsepower with a nitrous boost. It cost him $1 million, and under its hood lives not just raw power, but pure emotion. Right beside the roaring Charger, sitting quietly under the soft glare of overhead lights, is a machine that Vin Diesel calls the heartbeat of the garage. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. It's not the most expensive in his collection, not the rarest by any collector's standards, but to Diesel, it's everything. This is the car Dom Toretto drove into the Mexican sunset at the end of The Fast and the Furious. But off-screen, it became the vehicle that represented something far deeper: freedom, defiance, and legacy. With its 454 LS6 V8 engine pumping out an aggressive 450 horsepower and nearly 500 lb-ft of torque, the Chevelle SS was a monster of its time. One of the fastest factory muscle cars ever made. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just under 5 seconds. Even by modern standards, that's fast. But speed isn't what gives this car its soul. The Chevelle's presence is unapologetic. Its lines are sharp, its body is wide, its growl is primal. And yet, the one Diesel owns in real life isn't dressed up in modern trim or dripping with tech. It's raw, bare, authentic. It's been carefully preserved, but not over-restored. The small imperfections, he keeps them because they tell the story. In interviews, Diesel has even joked, though not entirely, that he borrowed the Chevelle from the movie set. Being the star and producer, he had the power to take home the car that meant the most to him. Not for its cinematic fame, but because it reminded him of the person he used to be before Hollywood called. A man fueled by passion, not polish. The Chevelle SS is a car with history, not just in film, but in American culture. It was the muscle car of the working man, powerful, loud, proud, but still attainable. It represented grit over glamour. That's why Diesel loves it, because it's not about flaunting wealth. It's about honoring the journey. It's not the rarest. It's not the fastest, but it's got soul. Vin Diesel. And in a garage full of rare beasts and multi-million-dollar marvels, that soul makes it stand out more than anything with diamonds in its headlights. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, one of only 503 ever made. A towering 23-inch rear wing, an aerodynamic nose designed to break NASCAR. So fast, it was literally banned. Diesel's Daytona is pristine, museum-worthy, but you won't find it in a movie. It's here for a different reason. It's here because Diesel respects history. And then there's the Lykan Hypersport. Yes, that Lykan. The mythical machine that defied gravity and logic in Furious 7, when Dom and Brian launched it from one Abu Dhabi skyscraper to another, and then into a third. Audiences gasped. The scene became iconic. But what most people don't realize is that while the movie used fiberglass stunt doubles, Vin Diesel owns the real deal. Parked deep within his garage, carefully positioned like a sculpture behind velvet silence, is one of only 7 Lykan Hypersports ever made. Just 7. That's rarer than a Bugatti, rarer than a unicorn in the automotive world. And this isn't just an ultra-rare hypercar, it's a $3.4 million work of art on wheels. Under the hood is a 3.7-liter twin-turbo flat-six engine crafted by master engineers at RUF, capable of delivering 780 horsepower and a jaw-dropping 708 lb-ft of torque. It launches from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.8 seconds and hits a top speed of 245 miles per hour. That's Formula One territory, a street-legal rocket cloaked in carbon fiber. But power alone doesn't make the Lykan legendary. It's the absurd luxury that sends it into another realm entirely. Its headlights are embedded with 420 actual diamonds, Its interior features gold-stitched leather seats, and the dash? It's not just digital, it's holographic, gesture-controlled, futuristic, and entirely otherworldly. It would be easy to imagine Vin Diesel showing this car off, revving it at red carpets, posing with it for magazine covers. But he doesn't. In fact, he almost never mentions it. Because for Diesel, even a multi-million-dollar hypercar has to mean something. He didn't buy it to flaunt his wealth, he bought it because it represents something deeper, how far he's come. From a struggling New York kid who couldn't get a callback, to a man who now owns one of the rarest cars ever built. For Diesel, this isn't just a car, it's a symbol of transformation, of arrival, of identity. And in a garage full of old-school muscle, the Lykan is a crown jewel, not for how it looks, but for what it represents. Some, like the 1960 Pontiac Bonneville, are massive, elegant, and forgotten by most of the world. Others, like the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, speak to his love of muscle car underdogs. And then there's the 1993 Mazda RX-7, a nod to Japanese engineering, agility over brute force, and a tribute to Tokyo drift culture. And believe it or not, there's a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. Yes, a van. Gifted by Tyrese Gibson, a mobile lounge for long shoots, complete with a fridge, leather seats, and a flat screen. Proof that practicality and friendship also park here. There's also a 2010 BMW M5, a 2009 Subaru Impreza, and a black-on-black Range Rover, vehicles for quiet days, family duties, school runs. Not everything in the garage is a stunt car. Some are just life cars. But the heart of this garage, the part that hurts, is a corner few ever see. There sits a Toyota Supra. No flashy paint. No movie mods, just stillness. It was Paul Walker's car in the film and in spirit. And after Paul's tragic death in 2013, Diesel kept one. Not for the value, but for the memory. It reminds me of my brother, Diesel. There's also a Charger, the one that never moves. Covered, quiet. It's not Dom's, it's Paul and Vin's. A tribute to friendship, to loss, to unfinished conversations. Diesel doesn't talk much about these, but we know this. He visits this part of the garage alone. He cleans the Supra himself, runs his hand over the hood, sometimes lights a candle. And in those moments, he talks to Paul. Whether you believe in that or not isn't the point. For Vin, the cars are the conversations. He even named his daughter Pauline. And at Meadow Walker's wedding, Paul's daughter, it was Vin Diesel who walked her down the aisle. Not because cameras were rolling, but because that's what family does. Vin Diesel isn't just an actor. He's an empire. He founded One Race Films to control his vision. He directed, he produced, he gave opportunities to those shut out of Hollywood. He voiced Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. He led franchises like XXX, Riddick, and The Pacifier. His net worth in 2025, between $225 to $250 million. But if you asked him what matters most, it wouldn't be the money. It'd be the journey, the road, the garage. In fact, he still owns a modest house in Beverly Crest, barely touched since the 1950s. 2 bedrooms, 3 baths. A far cry from the mansion you might expect. Because for Diesel, simplicity matters, privacy matters, meaning matters. In June 2025, Diesel made headlines again, this time for legal battles. A California judge dismissed 4 claims in a sexual battery case filed against him, but 6 remain. He denies all allegations. His legal team calls the case frivolous and plans to dismiss the rest. A jury trial is set for August. Through all this, Diesel presses on, still working on Fast X. Part 2, still sharing behind-the-scenes footage, still showing Dom returning to the garage, tuning up that Charger. Still whispering, heart, family, legacy. This garage isn't just a collection. It's a soul. It's a memoir in metal. A shrine built not for the public, but for peace, for memory, for grief. Each engine carries a conversation. Each vehicle, a ghost. Each tire mark, a lesson in who Vin Diesel was and who he's become. The Charger? Strength. It's more than horsepower, it's heritage. The 1970 Dodge Charger R/T is Dom Toretto's soul on 4 wheels. It's the car that bore witness to the very first Fast and Furious race and the final farewell to a brother lost too soon. It's American muscle wrapped in memory, a reminder that power, when fueled by loyalty, becomes unstoppable. The Chevelle? Resilience. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS is not the loudest or rarest, but it's real. Gritty. Honest. Like Diesel himself. The kind of car that doesn't scream for attention but commands respect. A machine built to endure, to last, to fight back when the road gets rough. The Supra? Love? Quietly sitting in a shadowed corner of the garage, untouched, is a tribute to Paul Walker. No neon paint. No turbo mods. Just presence. Toyota Supra is a rolling memory, a symbol of friendship so deep it transcends screen and time. For Diesel, it's not about how fast it goes. It's about who was in the passenger seat. The Daytona? Legacy. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona was so fast it was banned. So powerful it forced NASCAR to rewrite the rules. Diesel's ownership of one reflects a man who has reshaped the rules of Hollywood, carving a space for himself, for others, for stories that once had no voice. It stands tall, like a monument to the outsider who made it. The Lykan, Evolution, a $3.4 million Marvel that leaps across skyscrapers and into cinematic legend. It doesn't just scream speed, it whispers transformation. From a theater kid in New York to a global star, the Lykan reflects Diesel's own journey into the stratosphere, refined, unstoppable, unapologetic. The Bonneville? Stillness. Forgotten relic, large and slow, from a time when cars were more than machines. It's the breath between scenes, the pause between stunts. It's where Diesel goes to remember who he was before the noise. Because you don't just see Vin Diesel's garage, you feel it. Some garages store cars. Vin Diesel's garage stores stories. And now we know them.